The Imperial Fleet assembled at the edge of the Sol system like a swarm of metal locusts, 3,000 warships strong, each one bristling with weapons that had reduced 100 worlds to ash and cinders. Admiral Kethrix stood on the command deck of the flagship Eternal Dominion, all four of his eyes gleaming with what he assumed was well-earned confidence. After all, he'd conquered 47 systems in his career, and this primitive backwater would be number 48. Status report, Kethrix barked, his mandibles clicking with anticipation. His second-in-command, a wiry Vrelian named Korix, consulted the holographic display with her three-fingered hands. All ships are in position, Admiral. The humans' defensive satellites are, well, they're adorable, really. Chemical propulsion, primitive alloys, energy weapons that couldn't scratch our paint. Kethrix let out a sound that might have been laughter if you were feeling generous. More like a garbage gospel choking on rocks, honestly. And their fleet. What fleet? Korix's facial tendrils quivered with amusement. They've got maybe 200 vessels scattered across their system. Most of them are barely armed cargo haulers. The largest concentration is orbiting their third planet, Earth, they call it. 60 ships. We could sneeze and destroy them. Perfect. Kethrix drummed his claws on the command console, already composing his victory report in his head. The Emperor would be pleased. This conquest would take maybe 3 rotations, 4 at most. Begin the advance. Standard formation Delta 7. Let's show these primates what happens when they refuse the Emperor's generous offer of subjugation. The fleet moved forward, engines blazing across the electromagnetic spectrum, and honestly, if you could have seen it from Earth, it would have looked impressive as hell. 3,000 ships, each one the size of a small city, blotting out the stars like an eclipse made of malice and bad intentions. On Earth, in a bunker somewhere beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Yuki Tanaka watched the approaching fleet on a dozen screens, and did not look impressed. She looked, in fact, like someone watching a rerun of a show she'd already seen too many times. They're doing the standard intimidation approach, she said, her voice flat. Big fleet, slow advance, giving us time to panic and surrender. Beside her, Dr. Ravi Malhotra adjusted his glasses and peered at the tactical display. The scans confirm it. They're using 4th-generation antimatter drives, plasma lance weapons, kinetic bombardment systems. Very conventional. Conventional, Tanaka repeated. And then she smiled, just a little, just enough to make the junior officers in the room very nervous. They have no idea, do they? None whatsoever, General. How long until they're in range of the defense grid? At current velocity? 14 minutes, Tanaka nodded slowly. Then we have time for coffee. Someone get me coffee. Back in space, Admiral Kethrix was feeling pretty damn good about himself. His fleet was in perfect formation, every ship exactly where it should be, and the humans hadn't even bothered to run. Their pathetic little vessels just sat there, orbiting their planet like they were waiting for a bus. They're not even trying to evacuate, Korix observed, a note of confusion in her voice. The civilian population centers are showing normal activity. No mass exodus, no panic, nothing. Kethrix waved a claw dismissively. Shock. They can't believe this is happening. Trust me, I've seen it before. They'll start screaming soon enough. 5 minutes to effective weapons range, the tactical officer announced. Charge all weapons, Kethrix ordered. Target their orbital facilities first, space stations, shipyards. Anything with industrial capability. I want them crippled before. And that's when things got weird. The sensors started screaming, not figuratively, literally screaming, because some genius engineer had programmed them to emit warning sounds, and apparently thought a choir of damned souls was appropriate. Every screen on the command deck turned red, alarms blared, and Korix looked at her console with the expression of someone who'd just been handed a test in a language she didn't speak. Admiral, I'm detecting massive energy signatures. Multiple sources, all across the human fleet. So they're charging weapons, Kethrix said, unconcerned. Let them. Their energy output is negligible compared to... Sir, the readings don't match any known weapon system. The energy density is... It's impossible. It's violating half the laws of thermodynamics. Kethrix felt the first cold tendril of doubt wrap around his confidence. Violating how? Like they're pulling energy from somewhere else. Somewhere that shouldn't exist. Sir, the power output from those 60 ships is exceeding our entire fleet combined by a factor of, oh, ancestors preserve us, a factor of 10,000. And then, right then, at that exact moment, a human voice crackled across every communication channel in the Imperial Fleet. Every single one. Encrypted, unencrypted, emergency frequencies. Even the Admiral's private channel he used to call his wife. A woman's voice, calm and professional, with just a hint of amusement lurking underneath. Attention, Imperial Fleet. This is General Yuki Tanaka of the United Earth Defense Force. You are hereby ordered to power down your weapons, reverse course, and exit the Sol system immediately. You have 60 seconds to comply. Kethrix stared at the communication console like it had just insulted his mother. How did they? Sir, they've bypassed every security protocol we have, the communications officer stammered. They're inside our network. They're in everything. Impossible. Our encryption is military grade, certified by the 30 seconds, the human general's voice interrupted, and now she definitely sounded amused. I should Minden, we've analyzed your fleet composition, your weapons capabilities, your shield harmonics, and your tactical doctrine. We've also taken the liberty of reviewing your military history, Admiral Kethrix. 47 conquered worlds. Quite a record. Lots of orbital bombardment, civilian casualties, scorched earth tactics. Very efficient. Kethrix looked at Kethrix with wide eyes. She knows your name. 15 seconds, General Tanaka continued. Just so we're clear, this is your own warning. We could have destroyed you the moment you entered our system. We chose not to. Consider that a gift. Consider the next 14 seconds your opportunity to demonstrate wisdom over pride. Kethrix's mandibles clamped shut. Decades of military training, hundreds of battles, an entire career built on intimidation and overwhelming force, all of it screamed at him that this was a bluff. Had to be a bluff. No species that primitive could possibly threaten the might of the Imperial Fleet. All ships, he growled, opened fire. 3,000 warships unleashed hell simultaneously. Plasma lances hot enough to vaporize moons. Kinetic projectiles traveling at relativistic speeds. Antimatter warheads that could crack planets like eggs. All of it hammering toward Earth's defense fleet in a wave of destruction that should have ended this fight before it began. The attack reached the human ships and stopped. Just stopped. Not bounced off shields. Not absorbed, not deflected, stopped. Frozen in space like someone had hit a codonic pause button. Plasma bolts hung in the void. Kinetic rounds halted mid-flight. Antimatter warheads suspended in perfect stasis. Thousands of weapons representing enough firepower to sterilize a solar system. Just waiting there. 3 meters from the nearest human vessel. Kethrix felt his blood turn to ice water. Thank you for making this easy, General Tanaka said, and the warmth was completely gone from her voice now. Earth Defense Grid. Execute Protocol Omega. The human ships didn't move. Didn't fire. Didn't do anything visible. But something happened. Oh yes, something definitely happened. The Imperial Fleet, all 3,000 ships, millions of tons of metal and weapons and empire and pride, simply ceased to exist. Not exploded, not destroyed, not damaged, ceased. Erased. Deleted from reality like typos in a document. 1 microsecond they were there, solid and massive and threatening. The next microsecond they were gone, and the space they'd occupied was just empty. No debris. No energy signatures. No trace that they'd ever existed at all, except for one thing, a single escape pod, tumbling through space, life support active, containing one very shocked, very alive Admiral Kethrix. Inside the pod, Kethrix stared at the emptiness where his fleet had been, all 4 eyes wide enough to fall out of his skull. His mind, trained for tactics and strategy and conquest, ground to a complete halt, unable to process what he'd just witnessed. His communicator crackled. General Tanaka, again. Admiral Kethrix. We've preserved your escape pod as an act of mercy and as a message. You will return to your empire. You will tell them what happened here. And you will deliver our terms. Humanity is not interested in your empire's subjugation, your trade networks, or your political structures. We are, however, very interested in being left alone. Any ship, any probe, any communication from your empire that enters our system without explicit permission will be treated as hostile and will meet the same fate as your fleet. Are we clear? Kethrix managed to activate his communicator with a trembling claw. What? What are you? What kind of weapons can do that? There was a pause, and when Tanaka spoke again, she almost sounded sympathetic. Admiral, you're asking the wrong question. The question isn't what kind of weapons. The question is, what kind of species discovers nuclear fission and fusion, looks at all that energy, and thinks, neat. But what if we could do better? What kind of species treats the laws of physics as suggestions rather than rules? What kind of species, when faced with the vastness of space and the impossibility of faster-than-light travel, doesn't accept it, doesn't adapt to it, but breaks reality itself until it does what they want? Kethrix said nothing. What could he say? His vocal cords had apparently gone on strike. The answer, Admiral, is us. Humanity. We're the kind of species that looked at quantum mechanics and thought it was boring, so we made it interesting. We're the kind that found the fundamental forces of the universe and decided they needed an upgrade. You came here expecting to find primitives with chemical rockets and nuclear weapons, didn't you? You thought you'd roll in with your antimatter drives and plasma cannons and we'd fall to our knees in terror. Your technology, Kethrix finally managed to croak, is about 800 years ahead of yours, yes. But that's not the point. The point is trajectory. Your empire has been using the same basic technology for what? 10,000 years. Antimatter drives, plasma weapons, kinetic bombardment. Very effective, very reliable, very static. You perfected a paradigm and stopped innovating. You know what humanity did in the last 200 years alone? We went from barely understanding quantum entanglement to weaponizing zero-point energy. From theoretical papers about wormholes to infrastructure that treats space-time like construction material. We don't just advance, Admiral. We accelerate. The escape pod systems beeped softly, calculating a return trajectory to Imperial space. Kethrix stared at the readout without really seeing it. You're being sent home with full sensor logs of what happened here, Tanaka continued. Your pod's computer has recorded everything. Show it to your emperor. Show it to your generals. Make them understand that Earth is not a conquest opportunity. It's a line you don't cross. The emperor will never accept this, Kethrix said. And even to his own ears it sounded hollow, desperate. He'll send more fleets. Bigger fleets. The full might. We erased 3,000 warships in 1.4 microseconds, Admiral. Your entire fleet. Gone. And we didn't even use our main defense platforms. Those were just our orbital ships, the equivalent of our Coast Guard. Our actual military, the weapons we've built for peer-level threats, you don't want to meet those. Nobody does. We really hope nobody ever has to. Kethrix felt something break inside him. Not his body, but something deeper. His worldview, maybe. His understanding of the universe. Why didn't you just destroy us when we entered your system? Why the warning? Because despite what your 47 conquered worlds might suggest, we're not monsters. We don't want an empire. We don't want to rule the galaxy or spread humanity across every star. We just want to exist, to grow, to learn. And we'd prefer to do that without stepping on anyone else. But, and this is important, Admiral, so listen carefully, we will not be stepped on either. Not by you, not by your emperor, not by anyone. The pod's engines fired, beginning its long journey back to Imperial space. Through the viewport, Kethrix could see Earth, that little blue-green marble, peaceful and serene and absolutely terrifying.